Alright, I'm going to make a quick video here about accessor and mutator methods. Okay, I have two files here. I have my car and my car driver. Okay, I'm opening up both of them in TextPad. You'll see they're pretty much blank. Okay, first thing I do whenever I create a file is I name it, which I did, mydriver.java and mycar.java. Okay, my driver, you need to give it a class name. Public class, if I can spell right today, my driver. Okay. Then if you put your parentheses in here, I always put my parentheses in pairs. Now you'll notice I can actually compile it at this point. I can do external tools, compile Java, and it compiles successfully. I can do the same for my car. Public, class, my car. Look at this, I can't spell at all. I can compile that. Now I have two files compiled. Now if I look back in my directory, now you'll see I actually have mycar.java, mycar.class. This is the bytecode of it. And the same with my driver. Okay, now I'm going to show you in my car, that's the class I'm going to create an instance of. Okay, inside there I need available, not a variable. Okay, every car has a make. So I'm going to create a variable to store it. Now I could just say string make equals, okay. The problem with that is by doing that is actually being declared public, which means everybody can modify it. But I'm going to just leave it like that for the moment. Okay, so I always compile, and you'll see it's still compiling correctly. Okay, now I'm going to go to my driver. I'm going to say I need an instance of my car. Okay, now my driver is the driver file. Okay, my car is what I'm going to create an instance of. So I'm going to say just like if I wanted to create a variable to hold my age, I would say something like int age equals 51. Okay, that is a way I could store an integer in a variable called age. Well, the same way I do that, I'm going to create a variable for my car. So just as int is the type of variable of age, I'm going to say my car is car1 equals new car. My car, sorry. Basically, the same thing here. The type is int, the variable is age. The type is my car, the variable is car1. I did it exactly the same way. Age is equal to 51. Car1 is equal to a new instance of my car. Now, if I compile again, you'll see I still compile successfully. Whenever I'm building something, I always compile success. I always compile throughout. Now, since car1 is actually an instance of my car, I should be able to say car1 dot make equals Chevy. Okay. Now, car1, I have a variable called make, so I should be able to reference it just like that. Okay. Now, it's not working. Okay. Does anyone know why? Well, alright, sorry about that. Someone came to my door. Alright, so I'm back here. So when I try to compile this, I can't. It keeps telling me this identifier expected. Well, the problem is, this might be my driver class, but I have no method. I'm actually missing the main method. So if you ever try to compile something, you get an error like that, it's basically saying, hey, Java needs a main method to start. So I'm going to create one real quick. Public static void main string brackets args. Okay. And I'm going to create it nice and pretty here. Alright, now if I take all this information and put it inside my method, you'll see I make it all indented pretty. Okay, now if I go to compile this, it'll work. Because what I told it was the myClassDriver now has a method called main. Inside there I declared age and I declared a new car and all that. Now this works perfectly, but the problem is, okay, actually, let's make sure it's working. I'm going to output this to the screen. System.out.println. And I want to output car1.make. Okay, and I should get Chevy on the screen. Well, it says right here, obviously I have another typo, so let's fix my typo. There you go. Now I get, oops, you can't see it, but I get Chevy on the screen. Works perfectly. The problem is, this is not the correct way to access it. Okay, the accessing this way is what's called public. You shouldn't do that. Over here in my car, That means anybody could change this. Can you imagine having a bank account where anybody could change your balance? Not a good thing. You would want money, you want your balance to go up by receiving a deposit, balance go down by you're writing a check. So not a good thing. So what you need to do is you need to create this private. Okay? Now I created that private. So what it means is now this variable make can only be modified from inside this class. Remember, that's all I changed. I put the word private. Now I want to go back to my driver. I can no longer change it. It says, whoa, error, make has private access in my car. So how do I fix that? Well, you need to have what's called a mutator method. Okay, that's the whole point of this video. If I go back into my car, I want to create a method so I can change that. So I can go public set make, okay, and I want to receive a string in make. Okay, now set make isn't going to return anything, so it's going to be a void method. Okay, now inside here I can say make equals in make. Okay, actually I don't need high in there, but just did it for the heck of it. Now when I go to compile this, you'll see we get another error. Well, the reason I get an error is because right down here it says a semicolon's needed. Now, every statement in Java needs a semicolon with some exceptions. Okay? Now, when I compile it now, it'll be fine, but do not put a semicolon up here. Okay? If you put a semicolon up here at the end of the method body, you're going to get an error as well. You can actually get a couple different errors. What it can tell you is, hey, you're missing the method body. The reason is, when it sees this semicolon, it thinks that's the end of this method. So then you got all this stuff which really doesn't mean a darn thing. Let's get rid of that semicolon. Make sure you add one at the end of your statement here. Now, my variable names, I like using in stuff. Stuff that's coming into the method. I use like in make, in model, in name, in age. I don't have to. I actually could just name it make, which is fine. But the moment I do that, then I need to change this to this, because this make will be this make. That way this make will be this make. I don't care which way you do it. Either way will be fine. Now back in my driver, it's still not going to work. When I go to compile this, it's going to say, whoa, error make is still private. So I cannot just call the variable. What I need to do is do set make. That's the variable I made right here, or the method set make right there. I'm going to do set make. Then I'm going to put the make inside parentheses, because set make receives an argument. Over here, set make receives an argument. Okay, so I go in there. Now this part will be correct, but we still have an error here. I cannot access that way. So this is what's called a mutator method. I changed the value of make. Now I need an accessor method. Public. But this time, instead of void, I'm going to return a string, get make. Now this one doesn't receive any arguments, yet it does return something. Okay? Return make. So this is the mutator method. This is the accessor method. So this is going to return make, which is that make right there. Let's make sure this compiles. Let's make sure this compiles. It's still not going to, because I still haven't changed the way I'm getting it. So I'm going to say get make, put my parentheses there. Now it'll work. Okay, if you see me running it here, now I get Chevy. Now, a lot of you are thinking, why did you have to do all this set make, get make thing? Why not just leave it public? Why did we get rid of this private, leave it public, and use it? Like I said, your bank account, you need to make sure the data is being manipulated correctly. So for every variable in your class here, they all should be private. Now, the set make and the get make are public because you want to be able to use those. But they, since they are inside of the mycar class, they can access this make and change it even though it's private. So you need an accessor and mutator for each one. We have our accessor and our mutator. We don't have to call them set make and get make. We could call them whenever we want. I just get in the habit of doing that. So now we actually went in and we could actually create another car. I could go in here and say my car2 equals new my car. I could create as many cars as I need. I could go in and say I'm going to copy this down, so I don't have to type it all. I could say car 2 is a Toyota, and output car 2. There you go. Now you'll see I have a Chevy and a Toyota. Okay. To make sure they're outputting the right things, I'm going to say car 1 is a, and I'm making a string, car 1 is a, then a blank. Then this is not a plus sign, this is actually a concatenation character. And car 2 is a, so now we're actually outputting what they are. Oops, I'm missing my quotes right there, I saw it. Okay, when I run this, you'll see car 1 is a Chevy, car 2 is a Toyota. Okay, works pretty simple. Alright, that's a little bit about Accessor Mutator methods. Thanks.